So far, we've covered reasoning, decision-making, and emotional intelligence as to how it functions and is a characteristics of the human brain, and comparing it to LLMs, the current AIs, as well as potential future AIs, as in AGIs. Now, let's turn our attention to the next characteristics of the human brain, namely self-awareness, and examine which part of the brain, as in brain regions, are responsible for our self-awareness, as well as which brain waves, aka oscillation and neural activities, electrical activities of the neurons, are responsible for the self-awareness within humans. And then we will look at its existing or non-existing in the LLMs and its potential existing in the future of AI, namely AGIs. Self-awareness in humans is a complex, multi-layered process that allows us to understand our thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and our place in the world. It's one of the most remarkable traits of the human cognition, giving rise to our ability to reflect on past experiences, predict our future behavior, and maintain a sense of continuity and identity over time. In the brain, self-awareness is primarily focused on specific brain regions, as well as specific electrical activities and brain waves, and we will be covering which regions and which electrical activities are involved during our self-awareness process. One of the major brain regions involved in the human self-awareness is the prefrontal cortex, or PFC. PFC is central to the development and maintenance of self-awareness within humans. This region is involved in higher order cognitive functions such as reasoning, decision-making, and planning, all of which contribute to the human introspection. More specifically, the medial prefrontal cortex, or MPFC, is particularly critical for self-referential thinking, which is the ability to think about oneself in relation to others or to one's past actions. It helps us evaluate our intentions, reflect on our personal history, and make decisions aligned with our identity and our values. As the next important brain regions is the posterior cingulate cortex, or PCC. Another key player in self-awareness is the PCC, which is strongly involved in self-referential thought processes, as in thinking about oneself in relation to past experiences, future plans, and one's social context. Studies have shown that PCC becomes active during tasks that require us to reflect on our internal states and make judgments about our personal experiences. In essence, the PCC supports a sense of self, allowing us to engage in deep introspection about who we are and how we relate to the world. Temporoparietal junctions, or TPJ, is another very important brain region involved in the self-awareness processes. It's located at the intersection of the temporal and parietal lobes within the human brain and plays a pivotal role in self-awareness by helping us distinguish between self and others. This region is involved in perspective taking, empathy, and theory of mind, which are key elements of understanding oneself in relations to others. When we reflect on our social identity or imagine how others might perceive us, the TPJ region within the human brain is active. This region is also involved in mentalizing, which allows us to predict and evaluate the mental states of others, forming an essential aspect of our self-awareness within the social context and our environment. Let's look at the neural oscillations, aka brain waves, or the electrical activities that are happening within the brain, and see which brainwaves frequencies are involved when we are engaging in the self-awareness cognitive brainwaves, or the electrical activities within the brain, are another essential piece in understanding self-awareness in the human brain. Neural oscillation, or brainwaves, arise from the synchronized electrical activity of neurons, and they can be categorized into different frequency bands, as we've discussed plenty in this channel. Each of these frequency bands are associated with specific cognitive processes, where the brain waves most closely associated with self-awareness are alpha, theta, and gamma waves. And next, we're going to look into how each of these brain frequencies are involved for the self-awareness cognitive processes. The brainwaves frequencies of 8 to 13 hertz, aka alpha waves, are prominent when we are awake but in a relaxed or calm state. These waves frequencies are often present when we are reflecting on our thoughts or engaging in introspective tasks. The medial prefrontal cortex, or MPFC, shows strong alpha activities when we are asked to think about ourselves or our personal experiences. The presence of alpha brainwaves frequencies in the MPFC is associated with quiet, reflective self-awareness, allowing for a sense of inner calm while engaging in self-referential thinking. Research suggests that when individuals engage in self-reflection, alpha waves frequencies in the prefrontal cortex help us maintain the focus of attention on the internal state, enabling a deeper exploration of one's own. Lower brainwaves frequencies, as in theta waves around 4 to 8 hertz, are also typically linked with deeper states of relaxation, such as when we are drowsy or in a light sleep, but they're also prominent during meditative states and deep introspection. The posterior cingulate cortex, or PCC, it's the region that is critical to self-referential thinking, as discussed earlier. It exhibits theta waves frequency activity when individuals are engaging in activities such as recalling personal memories, reflecting on past experiences, or considering one's future self. Theta waves frequencies are thought to facilitate the type of deep reflecting thinking that is essential for understanding one's identity and personal history. In some cases, theta activity in the PCC is also associated with the integration of emotional experiences into self-awareness, contributing to a more cohesive sense of. Lastly, gamma waves frequencies around 3200 hertz, which are the highest brain waves frequencies within the human. They are also associated with higher cognitive functions such as attention, memory, and information processing. While gamma brainwaves frequencies are involved in various cognitive tasks, they're also linked to the higher order integration of sensory information of consciousness. In the concept of self-awareness, gamma waves are thought to facilitate the integration of disparate cognitive processes into a unified conscious experience. Studies have shown that when individuals experience a moment of intense self-awareness or epiphany, there is a noticeable increase in gamma waves frequency activities. This suggests that gamma waves may play a role in the conscious realization of the self within humans, allowing an individual to experience a more integrated and coherent sense of identity. Now, let's look at LLMs, the current AIs, and examine the lack of self-awareness, the way in which it exists within humans, within LLMs. So currently, these large language models are based on massive data sets and complex algorithms, and they do not possess the capacity of self-awareness. These models process input and generate output based on patterns learned from large texts, but they do not possess an internal model of self or an understanding of their own existence like we humans do. LLMs can simulate conversations about self-awareness, but this simulation is purely a function of their programming and data, not actual introspection of self-reflection. Unlike the human brain, LLM lack the necessary neural architecture to monitor their internal states or evaluate their own behaviors. They do not have a sense of self like we do, nor do they engage in self-reflection like we do. Also, they have no sense of self-improvement, for example, like we humans do. Any apparent awareness exhibited by LLMs is a result of algorithms' ability to mimic human-like responses, but these systems do not have any subjective experience or understanding of their own existence. How about self-awareness within AGI, next generation AI? The potential of self-awareness in AGI lies in the creation of systems that can monitor their internal states and adapt based on introspections like we humans do. For AGI, aka the future potential AI, to be self-aware, it would need to have a way of reflecting on its own actions, evaluating its own goals, and adjusting its own behavior based on its own experiences. This would require advancement in both cognitive architecture as well as the neural network designs. An ideal scenario in AGI would need to replicate some of the cognitive processes observed in the human brain, including those in the prefrontal cortex for self-reflection, in PCC for self-referential thinking, and in TPG region for understanding the self in relation to others. These processes would need to be integrated with a robust feedback mechanism that allows these future potential AGI to monitor and adjust their own behavior in real time based on internal states, while current AGI systems, like those developed for specific tasks, cannot achieve this level of self-awareness. Future advancement in artificial intelligence may eventually allow for self-monitoring systems that possess a form of introspective cognitions like we humans. To sum up, self-awareness is a very crucial characteristic of human intelligence, involving complex interactions between brain regions, and brainwaves neural oscillations activities. While the current AI, as in LLMs, lack self-awareness, the future potential of AI, as in AGI, could potentially involve systems that mirror aspects of human self-reflection and introspection. And as we continue to explore the potential of self-awareness within artificial systems, the lessons from the human brain's sophisticated networks of regions and brainwaves will serve as a valuable guide. In future videos, we will continue covering these other specific characteristics of human brain, comparing it to the current LLMs and potential future. Thanks all for stopping by. Thanks for your likes and comments and share. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.